Unexplained mysteries. Now, you know I love these types of videos. So, I mean, there's not really much to say because they're unexplained, but can they be somehow explained later on in life? That's the thing. Sometimes they are unexplained, but then somehow they are explained later on. Just thinking by a different angle. You know, sometimes you got to think outside of the box. But sometimes you do have to think inside the box to get out of the box, to get the outside of the box explanation. Confusing, I know. So let's get into this video right now.
No!
What do you mean now?
Fuck this! Corruption! Wow!
Ethan,
that's
are you okay?
Ooh, today we reacted to 5 unsolved murder mysteries that are creepy.
Scary.
Yeah, with Josh and Victor. You know they've normally got commentators that have funny voices.
I feel like he's done a better job.
I want him to speak like that the whole time.
No.
This woman was killed in her staircase.
I was doing the Harry face and he was doing yours. You're talking of the Harry face.
She was killed on her staircase.
No, it's murder mystery, so it's going to be like, in her staircase.
There was a footstep in the blood.
Right. What's okay? Just what?
What's so funny, bro?
But it matched nobody's DNA.
Nobody could find the footstep of the.
I came here for the video, not for this shit.
Here, like, why am I recording
I
with
came here for the video, not for
The star will be the victim of an unsolved murder.
Oh.
Hey!
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 Press play.
Hey!
5
Don't
unsolved
be
murder
mean to
mysteries that are
Vic.
very creepy.
What?
Murders happen all around the world. Some are solved within days or
weeks.
weeks, and sometimes it can take
John,
years.
stop.
Unfortunately, though, in some
me the
instances, the killer has been known to get away with
He's
the crime.
so monotone,
Such are the
bro.
It's very
cases on
exciting
this
for a
list.
murder one, isn't
I hope
it?
he gets
These
better.
are
This is
5
just the intro.
unsolved murder mysteries that are very creepy.
Oh, there we go.
Number 5, Joaneen Sarin.
Ooh, sound effects.
It was
Tracking.
Valentine's Day 2007. Joaneen Sarin was 39 years old, and despite being mentally
recognize that
disabled,
picture.
she was high functioning and lived in her own apartment in
Private dog's
Carlsbad,
voice.
San Diego.
Right?
He's more bored.
To make sure she was
than
okay,
anything.
though, her parents made a visit to her every day. That evening, Joaneen's parents checked in on their daughter like usual. They knocked on the door, the lights were on, but no one answered. After several tries and calls, Joaneen's father, Art,
This one's about to say, this is a dead person, isn't it?
Once inside,
Yeah, that's what I'm
they
saying. The
walked through a
narrator
dark bedroom,
sucks at this.
shocked to find their daughter having sex with an unknown man.
Oh,
Upset, but thinking
Right.
they walked in on an awkward
happened?
situation, Art
get
told the
booked.
man to get dressed and leave, while both parents
Get
waited
out my
in the
house.
adjoining room.
My ass or house?
The man did as he was told
definitely
and
not.
left.
No one's in my ass.
Minutes passed and the parents
I
waited,
should hope
but
not.
Joaneen never came out of her room.
Oh,
After asking for her to come out several times without a response, they decided to go in. There, they were treated to an even more shocking sight than what they had just seen.
We just found.
Oh
What's
my
going on?
goodness.
Joaneen was lying in the nude, dead.
oh.
She'd been beaten and strangled to death.
So what? Did the Don?
Wait,
It was later
Whoa.
clear that while her parents were waiting for this man to get dressed and leave, he was also killing their daughter at the very same time.
That's
The
mental.
man left
What?
without Joaneen's parents knowing anything. With the amount of bruises she suffered, it was clear the sex between the two was not consensual, and her parents had witnessed her being
Oh, they
raped
walked in,
in
they
front
could
of
actually
them
stopped
without
it.
even realizing it. Police
that's
studied
mad.
the crime scene and collected DNA evidence, and although they tried to find a suspect, the case went cold.
How?
For 11 years, no one knew who raped or killed the woman. Over the years, as advances in technology arrived, investigators would run
Have
the
they got him?
suspect's DNA through various databases, but it was always a dead end.
Ah!
But then recently, they turned to phenotyping and forensic genealogy, hoping it
Oh.
would solve the mystery. Phenotyping recreates what the suspect may have looked like based on the DNA.
What?
Forensic genealogy, meanwhile,
What?
uses existing DNA from family trees freely submitted online to find familial matches.
It's getting impossible
This
to
was the
commit
same
crimes nowadays.
procedure
You know?
used to
Good.
capture the Golden State Killer.
sorry.
Not that I want to.
When investigators used this technique on
sound
Joaneen's
upset by
case,
that.
one
Yeah,
prosecutor
exactly.
I realised my
David
tone sounded like.
Yeah.
Brito was a former Oceanside resident and was 38 years old at the time of the crime.
That moustache.
Once his name came
screams.
up, it was a matter
has
of
to go, blood.
obtaining his direct
It has
DNA from another law enforcement agency. But as it turns out, his DNA was never entered into a system because he had passed away in 2011. Even though police say they are sure that he raped and killed
Imagine you
Sarin,
die, right?
they still don't have answers on
then-
motive or
and
whether
then-
Sarin
you get killed
knew
for
the
this.
You killed someone, you
suspect at
didn't.
all.
What do you mean?
Yeah, you can't defend yourself.
Number
Yeah,
4,
true.
Terry Bevers. On April 18th, 2016, Terry Bevers, also known as Missy, arrived at Creekside Church in Midlothian, Texas
I
at
want him to
4
speed it
a.m.
up.
for an early morning fitness
He's quite a
class
slow
she was
reader, isn't he?
leading.
A little bit, yeah.
But minutes before
But it's just his monitor.
church
Oh, this is what I
surveillance
like.
captured
I
a
like
figure dressed in what
CCTV
appeared
stuff.
to be full SWAT gear. This individual carried a hammer
it's not
and
actually
what
SWAT.
looked to be a small crowbar.
No.
Although it wasn't captured on camera, the intruder and Missy did encounter each other that morning.
People
When
have got
one
to
of
be so
Missy's
touched. You know?
students arrived at the church for class, police received a frantic 911 call stating that there was an unresponsive woman inside. Missy didn't survive the attack, and it was later revealed she had suffered multiple stab wounds to her head and chest.
With a crowbar.
3 years after the murder, the case still remains unsolved. Even though there was clear surveillance footage, police
No
still
one
have
knows
no
who done this.
suspects or concrete leads.
What's your favourite?
During the initial
crime thing on
phase of the
Netflix, Josh?
investigations,
I like the staircase. I enjoyed that.
I was gonna say you like Staircase, don't
I
you?
did enjoy the staircase.
Wait, what's the
I don't like
staircase?
How to Be a Murderer.
How to Murder was goated to.
That was goated, and I'm
I don't
waiting.
even know what
I'm
that-
waiting, bro, because
I
that's
don't know what those are.
It's still guanin', isn't it? Like everything's
Still
still
going on.
guanin'.
people then believed the murder may have been a robbery gone wrong and that Missy was just in the wrong place at the wrong time. But
I was
the idea
expecting
of
more
robbery
creepy stuff,
seemed
you know.
off as the intruder looked
These are unsolved
half-hearted in
mysteries
trying
that
to
are very
pry
creepy.
open the doors or even
Josh?
steal anything from the church at all. The
Being in the
intruder
police
also
must be long,
left
you know.
Missy's diamond wedding ring on her finger. If robbery was the motive, then
Yeah,
most
they-
likely
yeah.
that would be the
But you'd end
first
up
thing
hating
they
the world.
took.
Yeah.
This is the bad
Investigators
side of the world
estimate
all
the
the time.
intruder to be
Yeah.
around 5'2"
But
to 5'7".
how tapped do you have to be to get a
From the
fake
video,
SWAT
they
outfit and a
couldn't
crowbar out?
distinguish
Yeah,
whether
and then
the
just go
person
murder
was
someone.
male or female.
Bro, you gotta be so tapped.
It's also noted the killer had
You'll
a
be right,
very
though.
distinctive walking gait. Although the investigation still doesn't
You-
have
you
any
could be
solid
going to, like,
evidence
murder-
of who
to
the killer might be,
Rob someone.
internet sleuths are
doesn't
pointing
kill
to one
someone.
potential
But you might
suspect.
panic.
Brandon
then
Bevers,
you meet
father
someone.
of
What?
Missy's
What
father-in-law,
kind of panic
Randy.
response is killing someone?
According to them,
You just went swinging with a
Randy
crowbar.
seems
A
like
panic
suspect
response.
since
Bro, he
days
stabbed
after
her with it.
Missy was murdered. He
9
brought in
times.
a blood-stained shirt to the cleaners.
That's a tapped
Randy
on.
said it was from a dog injury, which supposedly the vet confirmed. But footage of Randy walking, though, seems to
Oh.
match up with the height and weight of the intruder. Even more telling was that the distinctive gait also mirrored Randy's. After Missy's death, investigations revealed the couple had been having marital as well as financial difficulties.
Isn't that what
There
they
were
always
also
say in murders?
allegations
Like it's
Missy
either
was having
it's
an
either
affair.
husbands. What is
So
it?
it's
There's like a
believed
list of
Randy
people
may have
who
helped
they.
his
So it's
son
connected
out of the
to you, yeah.
relationship.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Randy
Like
seems to
husbands,
have a
wives,
solid alibi.
Same as
Said he was out traveling in
rapes typically as
California
well.
at the time of the murder. Even though until now there's no resolution to the case, the Bevers are still hopeful that one day they will find an answer as to who killed Missy.
You bastard.
Number 3,
I
Nicole
like the
Smith.
animation. They've done well with this bit, but
On June
Voice
7,
over that.
1995,
Give me
it was
something
the
epic,
start of a
bro.
normal day for 14-year-old Nicole Smith from Southwest Atlanta. She was walking from her Deerfield apartment complex with her sister and a friend.
American apartment
Midway, though,
complexes are so like
Nicole realized she had forgotten to
they're so
bring her
GTA-ish,
book
aren't
report.
they? Like, they-
I wonder
She told her
why.
sister and friend to go on without her.
Yeah, you're
She
right.
was going to head back home to get it. She decided to take a
Lads, am I
shortcut
an
through
idiot?
the woods, hoping to cut
Do you
time.
think I'm an idiot? Guys, I want honest answers.
Yes, you're an idiot.
Wait, do you think I'm an idiot?
Look,
You think
everyone
you just said
has
like
their...
that? Imagine you played what the new Watch Dogs and you've gone.
Went out today and looked around London and it's just like the new Watch Dogs. It's
It's
bizarre.
just-
Yeah,
Watch
it's really weird.
I don't,
Like the building's all the same and stuff.
And
You have
shot
your
her
moments.
twice in
You
the
have
head.
your moments.
that was
Security
one of
guards
the
in the
best
area
top 2 L's
heard
of the
the
day so far.
gunshots and rushed towards them.
They should have
Found
started.
Nicole's body and
No,
a
no,
school
no,
bag,
I was
which
up
had her
early, I've already trained
identification,
legs.
but there was no sign of the killer. Years later, in June of 2004, another girl was viciously attacked the same way, 3 miles
Jack the
away
Ripper
at
vibes.
East Point. The 13-year-old was dragged into the woods, then raped. However, this
no.
time, the team was able to run away and inform police. She described the assailant as a black man, about 20 to 30 years
Do
old.
you reckon you could ever duppy
approximately
someone?
5 feet,
Sorry?
10 inches tall.
Do you reckon you could ever duppy someone?
He had a medium complexion
Do you want me to say
with
yes
a
to
gap
that?
in his front teeth.
No, I don't want you to
and
say
he was
that
wearing
yes, but I'm just saying,
gold-framed
do you think you
glasses
could?
during the
Anyone. I think anyone.
Anyone
could.
could.
DNA
right.
collected was
But
later
you do
matched to
accidentally,
the
as last
same
issue,
man
that's
that
what I'm saying.
attacked and killed
I'm on
Nicole
my Lenny
Smith. Despite
You
this
definitely,
link,
yeah.
though, the case remained unsolved, and even now, there's still
I've just
no
whacked it on
suspect.
for acting
Anyone
up,
with
and all of a sudden I've got a
information
case.
can submit
Fuck this.
anonymously to
Stop
the
it.
Crime Stoppers Atlanta tip line at 404-577-TIPS.
Why was that
It's
an
also
advert?
possible to
I
contact
don't
them
know.
via crimestoppersatlanta.org.
Did we just
Number
get
two.
You just got a sponsored
It's
thing.
Crime
Yes, you
Stoppers,
did.
right? We
You
wanna
just
stop
got
the crime.
sponsored.
Considered a child prodigy, Candace Hiltz was already
Prodigy?
doing calculus by the time she was 11. She
Jesus.
lived with her mother in Canyon City,
can you do that?
Colorado. But while
Nope.
still a teen,
Can you
Candace
not?
found herself pregnant, and she gave
Damn.
birth to a daughter named Paige. One day, Fremont County Sheriff's Deputy Robert Dodd arrived at the Hiltz home looking for James, Candace's older brother. James suffered from such severe paranoia that he lived in the wooded area at the back of the family's home.
Man.
The officer said he wanted to question James about a trespassing incident. Both Candace and her mother were
He lived
present
in the
during
woods
the
at the back of the
questioning,
garden.
and at some point,
I
Candace
assume, like, in,
denied
like,
the
a cabin
officer's
or
tone
something.
and let him know
That's
about
how
it.
it
Was it, no.
In the end, a shouting match ensued between the two. When the officer threatened the teen he would arrest her, she put up her wrists and dared him to. Then Candace said she had seen the officer accepting envelopes from known drug dealers in town and would gladly let his superiors know about it.
Corrupt police, mate.
Days after this incident, the family came home and realized their dog was missing. They thought it was odd, but figured the animal
Not
had
the
wandered
dog.
off, or may have been attacked by a mountain
No.
lion since they lived in the forest. Candace went to the sheriff's office to report her dog missing, but got into another altercation while there. It's unsure whether she got into a fight with Officer Dodd or if it was others. Then on August
Big deal about a police
15,
officer.
2006, Candace's mother, Dolores,
I've just seen a suggested video in the top right. Jimmy Savile, the lies, the la la la. Jimmy
This
Savile.
is your attention. Just got
realized something was
Yeah,
off
yeah,
and called the neighbors to have them check on
Prime
Candace,
example that you can
but
say
they
just
never
ban
did.
that.
Then
You're
when
not right.
Dolores got home around 3:30 p.m., went inside
Good
the
idea.
house to find her granddaughter Paige crying and screaming
Just found
inside
out
the
that day.
Fuck this, I'm a fucking
She
idiot.
then found pools and spatters of blood, but still there were no signs of Candace.
On the Dexter shit.
She ran to the room to pick up Paige, but discovered something stuffed underneath the bed. It was
No.
wrapped
Dexter was
inside
such
a
a good
green
show.
comforter.
Oh no.
Dolores opened
Oh, no.
it and felt sick to her
No.
stomach when she found
Oh,
her
no.
daughter dead.
What?
So many gunshot wounds to her face that it nearly decapitated her. Dolores then called 911.
Bro!
The two officers tasked to lead the investigation was Deputy Driscoll and Deputy Dodd,
No.
the same officer Candace had an altercation with. According to the family, the investigation was shoddy at best. Despite being veteran officers, the two left behind a lot of evidence uncollected at the crime scene. The area wasn't taped off properly, and people
Dodd's a
walked
fraud
in and
then,
out,
is what they're
contaminating
saying.
the crime scene.
So
Worse
how-
still
that's
is that
scary.
almost
Murder all over
immediately,
again.
the officers
In
pointed
it.
to James,
Make him a-
Candace's
what's-
mentally
make him a
ill
murderer.
brother,
That's
as
the
the
one.
main suspect.
Yeah, that's it. Fucking
They organized a
planting
manhunt,
evidence
searching
and
the
that,
wooded
missing
area
it.
behind the home, stating they were looking
That's a
for
RAV4 on the
evidence.
right as well.
The family
Set out.
So where's
believed
the
it was a
RAV4s?
ruse to find James. It was during this search the family dog was found. He had been tied to
No.
a tree and then butchered with an axe. They
No!
believe the dog
Hey,
was
fuck
taken to
this!
stop him from alerting anyone if an intruder went inside
And
the
you try and blame it
home.
on the brother, right?
Others say it was to taunt the family. Candace's
Fuck you,
murder
man.
became a cold case. Officers still pointed to James as a possible suspect, even though he denied it and had no history of violence whatsoever or even owned a
Yeah,
gun.
it's man like Dodd,
What's
isn't it?
more is that it was clear from
If
the
that brother was really
investigation
mad paranoid,
that
he's
Candace was shot by
gonna
3
be
different people
in the ropes now.
and suffered gunshot wounds from several different guns. Fast forward to 2017 when Rick
Dodd.
Ratzliff bought a storage unit for $50. Inside, he found police lights, police uniforms, and case files. Then he discovered a box marked evidence, and he knew he had found something that wasn't supposed to be there. When he inquired who had owned the unit prior to his purchase, it was none other than Deputy Officer Robert Dodd.
Oh my.
Rick told
goodness.
police about what he found, and his wife reported the interaction. The conversation between the officers was threatening, and in fact, They forced him to keep his mouth shut about finding the evidence inside the locker.
Bro!
Dodd's
Hey,
family
Dodd!
also tried to buy back that locker.
You look like a fucking nonstop.
Inside the
Hold
evidence
that.
box, they found the
Hold
axe
that.
used to kill Candace's
God.
dog, as well as the
What?
blood-stained rope.
Yeah, you got.
There
you
was
got
also
caught, you
bloody
pussy.
socks and a backpack containing Candace's bloody shirt.
He's unsolved though, so surely.
Then
But
at a
how did these
landfill
people get
outside
into
of Cannon
these
City,
jobs?
More evidence was found from a sexual assault case Dodd was involved in.
Oh
The
my
officer
days.
had thrown that out as well.
What?
Eventually, the word got out about the locker finding. The evidence was taken and held by the Colorado Bureau of Investigations.
Wait,
Done
They
it?
have pledged to
Wait.
look into the misconduct
Wait, this
of
was
the
a-
Fremont
oh,
County Sheriff's Department. Dodd eventually faced trial in 2018
Yeah.
for abusing public records and 2 counts of second-degree official misconduct. When asked why he had kept the evidence,
What about the
he
murdering of
simply
the
said,
dogs?
No
And
comment.
the woman?
Many believe Dodd, as well as other officers, might have been involved with the case or at least botched it from the get-go, although
Dodd!
there's no concrete proof tying them to the murder.
This guy's
Despite
a
Dodd
pussy.
and the police's handling of the evidence, no one has been arrested in Candace Hiltz's death.
The fuck?
Corruption!
Seawin Murder Mysteries.
Wow!
That is scary though.
It was
That's
Pentecost
fucked.
weekend of 1976, but in a little house in Seawin, Switzerland, 5 people were brutally shot to death.
Right.
Using a Winchester rifle, 13 rounds were fired off. 11 of those shots were used to shoot the victims in the head.
The
The
stock
last
images
2 were
that they
fired
use
into
are
their
always
bodies.
Really
The
interesting.
victims killed were 62-year-old Elsa Segrist Sackinger, her 63-year-old husband Eugene, Eugene's sister Anna, who was 80, and her 2 sons, 52-year-old Emmanuel and Max Westhauser, who was 49. It's believed the killer had only intended to kill both Elsa and Eugene, but was shocked to find other people
what, did they
there, so he
panic?
decided to kill them as well.
We know what Josh would do now.
crime
Josh
was
would
discovered
be
on
trying to steal a
June
Galaxy
6,
bar from Bossman and ended up killing him.
Oh my
Passerby.
god.
We know what Josh's
Ethan.
panic
Arrived
response
to find
is.
4 of the corpses
Bro,
inside
you'd
the
take
house.
like a hole for
Fifth
someone's
one was
chest.
found wrapped in a carpet and placed on
You said it all the
the
time.
terrace.
So if you had a gun, you're gonna put a hole for someone's
Despite heavy
chest.
questioning
No, I
and
didn't say that.
investigations,
I said I'll
police found
punch a
only
hole
2
through your
possible
chest.
You used to kick
suspects.
hole through my back.
The first was a man
Yeah, I
named
did, yeah,
Carl
because I'm on my
Dozer.
Iron Man shit.
In the fall of 1996, a Winchester rifle was discovered inside the kitchen hall of a house owned by a woman with the last name Dozer. It was discovered
Dozer.
the gun
You big
belonged to
Dozer.
Carl and was an imitation of an Italian Winchester with a short barrel. This was the same weapon used to kill all
Oh,
the
shit.
victims.
Little sword off thing.
Sort of.
Carl was interviewed by police about
Just
it,
guns,
but he
man.
said he bought the gun
In
at a
it!
flea
Just
market.
been
Alright, who made the
Even
first
though
gun?
police were
They
suspicious
fucked,
of him,
they fucked
could
it.
not find any motive and
Been
no
around for a long
evidence
time, to be
linking
fair.
him to the victims.
Well,
Then there was
imagine if
Adolf
war.
Johnny
Wait, imagine
Segrist.
if like, imagine if wars were
It was
just
hand-to-hand combat only.
Bro, it's just hand-to-hand combat, bro.
Just hand-to-hand combat.
Bro, they were.
I know, but imagine if they still imagine if they still were, bro, and Hitler's just getting banged in the face on the battlefield, bro. Hold that, SS what? Hold, bow.
Imagine
Yeah.
that. That's
A relative of the victims.
Hand-to-hand combat,
A
still to
business
this day.
acquaintance of Adolf, Hans Blaser, said that Adolf had
Ethan,
something
I
to do
just-
with the murder.
Oh, Adolf.
Because 3
Was that
weeks
coincidence
before
then?
the incident, Blaser
Fucking hell,
said
might be.
Adolf had
Or did you
asked
say
him
it
for
because-
ammunition.
You heard
No, I
that.
didn't.
He said he
I
needed
said
extra
Hitler's
heavy
getting
lead
banged up on the
bullets
battlefield.
and asked if it would fit in his Italian Winchester rifle. He also said he was getting it as a gift for someone else.
What?
Sus.
When police searched his
Sorry, lad.
apartment, there were styrofoam heads that had been shot through in his flat.
What?
Adolf was also described as being a man who was insecure about
Clearly-
his height and his
It's him!
weight.
It's him!
It's else but him!
It's believed he may have worked with Dozer to get revenge on
Dozer.
Eugene for belittling him. Although he was arrested
It's him!
temporarily, he was let go and died during the mid-1980s.
Oh,
The Seawin murders continue to remain a mystery,
that is a little short thing, you
although
know.
there are strong suspects in both
That's what you did
Dozer and Adolf. No
Whoa,
direct
bro.
evidence has linked them to the crime.
That was rude.
So there were 5 unsolved
Oh,
murder mysteries
thanks
that
for-
are
thanks
very
for that.
creepy.
There are 5 unsolved murder mysteries.
Yeah, you've nearly said
They all were
I'm
right.
not gonna lie, lads. That piece of content wasn't what I thought it was gonna be.
Yeah, I didn't think it
I
was.
have kept
Yeah.
it for 20 minutes at the end of that. That's
That's
why
Ethan's
my
apology. But first, that's his pick today.
mind- Yeah, because
Come back
the
tomorrow
title
for a
got-
potentially a better pick.
the title got me.
I enjoyed
And,
that. I enjoyed that. I thought it was alright.
Mate, you
I
spoke to us
mean,
about 3
if
times.
the narrator
Yeah,
wasn't
I was
so
in- I was
monotone,
in-
I
so
think
good.
it'd be
He
okay.
just digested
Yeah.
a bit. Give us an outlook on your viewpoints over watching that.
I thought it was very interesting, and it's interesting that you can almost know who's murdered someone, but if you don't have the evidence to tie it to them, you can't really do a lot. It's kind of
So
like, it's like
planning some murders then.
no, I just think, I don't know, I was playing devil's advocate and I was thinking, like, we're sat here convinced that, like, Dodds murdered these people,
Might
but
have.
what if Dodds been stitched up, you know, and everyone,
I've
loads
got-
of people think he's a murderer.
I
It's
think
interesting.
I've got a question for you guys and the audience to end the day.
Oh, what, Ethan?
How
Question
many
today.
murderers and rapists and paedophiles do you think you've walked past in your life? How many you reckon you've walked
Because
past?
probably a considerable amount.
It's probably a considerable
It
amount.
is
Isn't it?
probably-
Especially if you live in London, you've been on the tube with people
Good
doing
Yeah.
mad
handful,
stuff.
yeah.
So I hope you sleep well tonight and goodbye.
Thanks, Ethan. Thanks. Well, I mean, they were unexplained, but at the same time, it's like I could see where Vic was coming from. Like, you know, you are playing the devil's advocate because like there's a lot of evidence pointing towards this person, but it also, you know, they could have been set up for it or something like that. You know what I mean? I've watched Riverdale. I've seen that you're convinced it's this person, and it's just like plot twist. It's like what? So yeah. So God, when was the last time I actually watched Riverdale? I actually kind of want to watch it now. Ooh. First and third season are good. Second season went a little off the rails. I wasn't a big fan of second season. Let me know, what was your guys' favorite? I think the first season is my favorite season because it was like so good. Like the third season gave me season 1 vibes. The second season just went way off the rails. It was just weird. It was because of that stupid game. They went out of the storyline, and it really wasn't like a mystery one anymore. Like, you know, so. And the cult thing, I still don't understand the baby scene in the second season with the cult thing. No idea. Confusion. I still don't understand that. And they don't answer a word from that whatsoever. But third season was good. Third and first are good seasons. We could just skip over second season. It's fine. But other than that, hopefully you guys did enjoy, and I will see. Well, I hope you. Well, I mean, English. You know what? I don't. You know, I will see you guys later. All right. Bye. I don't know how to end that correctly. I'm sorry.